All right, everybody. Arkham Tuesdays, Bad Publicity, with your regular Arkham crew here. What is this, part 3, right, boys? Rogue?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think we got some Rogue players in the house.
Yeah. Big time. Well,
Yep.
not this new one, but overall.
Yeah, the older one, but this one's pretty good too. This would be if I stick to Robe, I might definitely switch to Jenny Barnes instead. So we'll jump into that.
All right, so let's get right into it. For those people who are who haven't seen the other two, what we're going to do is we build a living tier list. We are going right now up to and including Blood on the Altar. This week is probably the week that your pack or your newest pack will come out. When that comes out, we will move on to Mystic, but also jump back at the beginning and tweak and put in whatever cards comes out for the 3 sets that we have already done. Since we will kind of probably be at the halfway point of this this breakdown, let's switch scenes here and get right into it. So that means we're looking at Jenny Barnes, guys.
Jenny Barnes, the dilettante.
Yeah.
I think that's how you say it. The dilettante. It just means like she's an amateur.
Oh yeah, she's not a sophisticated lady.
She pretends to be. She doesn't really know too much yet, apparently. So yeah, Jenny Barnes, she has a pretty cool ability. I think when I first saw her, I was excited about the collecting one additional resource during each upkeep phase, because to me that automatically meant that I could finally play some very expensive things and be able to experiment a lot more with my deck and just play all the cards that, you know, might have sat in the binder or card box for a little bit. So I think, you know, it's cool that that ability is there, but as we'll probably discuss later, how resources kind of sit on the board for a little bit, I think that's where we might see some issues.
Yeah, you know what? I was surprised too. I liked so for me, a player of the old Arkham Horror game, I was excited for Jenny to come out because Jenny always had the guns, and in Arkham Horror, the board game, I wanted to be a guy with guns, you know, like Ashcan or Joe Diamond or somebody that I could at least defend myself from the start without trying to find items and stuff, right? So Jenny was always cool. I was interested in the card game version of her because Rogue seemed to need resources, and Skids you always, if you didn't have that good start, you know, you're like, Lucas or the lion's not in my opening hand, and you know, now I gotta try and make sure I can get enough resources to put him in play. But Jenny is a resource gathering machine, right? You collect one additional resource in the upkeep phase. Now it's at the end of your turn, but it sets you up for next turn. You guys have any other thoughts straight up on Jenny to begin with? I mean, she's all 3s across the board, so she is
Yep. And you know, if we compare it to Skids, I think he was the difference. It was 2, 3, 3, 4.
Yeah, the agility is where he shines.
Yeah, which was good, but I didn't find I was using Skid's agility that much. I know there's a few cards, you know, that green cards that for Rogue that make use of his what do you call it, agility, but I never used them in my deck, and I always found I was suffering more from the will. So I'm happy to take the +1 will for the -1 agility. That's a perfectly acceptable trade for me. And she's also one extra will, which is always nice as well.
Now, do you guys think that this is pretty much where you want to be in a solo game, is even across the board on stats? Like, I'm not the kind of person that really this doesn't draw out to me in any way. Like, I like when my stats are more one-sided, and I play a more of a niche role in a group, and I play to my strengths. Like Jenny across the board, when you have no strengths, when your strengths are all even, it's hard to get enough stuff to boost everything, right?
I think that she's definitely one of the forerunners for playing solo campaign. And my reason for saying that is based on her ability and based on her stats and the fact that you're allowed to, upgrade and change your deck around in between scenarios, then that allows you to kind of change your focus from scenario to scenario to make sure that she's able to do whatever you need her to do. And then the fact that she's now able to make use of those talent cards or skill cards, talent cards, where you pay to boost, and she gets that +1. I think that's probably why they did that, in order to have someone that's able to be very versatile, pretty much play any role that she needs to play throughout your campaign if you're by yourself, and has the money to pay for whatever it is that you might bring in. So I think that she's pretty good for that.
Yeah, I agree there. But like I said, it's still worrisome for me, because if you have a lower stat, there's enough cards in your set now to include cards that boost that stat if you're looking for help there. Like when you're pretty even across the board, it's really hard to pack a deck that can, combat everything that you have coming your way. So I'm still not sold on the even stats all across the board. I'd like to see more peaks and valleys. John, any thoughts from your?
I feel like in this game, there's a lot of ways to fix your stats outside of events. But they usually cost a lot of money, like you said, like Shobar was saying, the talents where you have to pay to boost. And I feel like you can negate a lot of that, evenness across the board by just having a few talents out. There's a lot of there's permanent stuff out now that you don't even have to worry about finding it. It's right there. You just need the money for it. So I feel like with her ability to generate so many resources, I don't think the there's ways to minimize that evenness across the board and get the peaks and artificially get the peaks and valleys that you need when you need them.
Cool. Any preference between her and Skids?
Skids.
Straight up.
Skids all the way.
I don't know. I haven't played her yet, but I've been playing Skids a lot, and I think she'd be a pretty good substitute, though. I
have to agree. I take Jenny over Skids. I like the resources over the actions and stuff. But let's get into some of the reasons too why, which is the uniques, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So if I bring up Twin 45s,
such sick art. The art is amazing.
Pay X, right? And we have 2 agilities and a wild. Spend X is the ammo. So I guess however much you pay, which is kind of cool, because Jenny does have the ability to, Rogue right now has crazy resource getting skills, so you can pretty much load this up pretty fat.
Yep.
Spend 1
Remember
ammo.
How we had that issue?
Yeah.
Remember how we had that issue about not knowing what to do with resources?
Yeah.
That's what you use it for.
Yeah.
You get +2 combat for this attack, and it deals a +1 damage. It's two-handed, which is,
kind of crappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I dig the 45s.
Yeah, I think it's really good. The like you said, the +2 attack is great off the bat, and then the big thing is the +1 damage, right? I think we kind of always compare it to Machete. We always measure everything up to Machete, right? Mm-hmm. And this is pretty well compared to that. Like you said, you can, if you've got enough money, you don't have to worry about paying again. You can just, as long as you have the money at the start, you just overpay for this, and it'll pretty much last you almost the entire game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Compared to the
41.
No, the overlapping on the lamb,
Oh.
From Skids, like ability to ability. I'm really happy with the 45s. So again, that's one reason why I'd lean towards Jenny, because to me on the lamb, it's it's neither here nor there for me, man.
I've never ever used that card.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, it does on the land does have a better stat. It does have a better stat of icons, right? It's pretty much 3 icons, right?
4.
Because it's,
Yeah.
Well, it's 4, but 2 of them are wild. And
Oh,
you're
yeah,
never
yeah.
gonna use 2 of them. So it's technically 3, right?
Gotcha. I see what you're saying.
Mhm.
Right. So it's a little more versatile in that case. But yeah, I pretty much use it for the icons, and that's about it.
Yeah,
So
I
overall
mean,
it's good.
it really plays into like I feel like you touched on it a bit before about the agility. Rogue seems to want to run, but they don't need to, So yeah, I definitely like the 45s better than on the Lamb. Again, I don't know why there's naming overlap with the Netrunner world. Getting into the weakness. We're searching for Izzy. Thoughts on this one?
So searching for Izzy, I'll just read it. Revelation: attach searching for Izzy to the location farthest from you. Double action: investigate. If you succeed, instead of discovering clues, discard searching for Izzy. Forced: when the game ends, if searching for Izzy is in play, you suffer 1 mental trauma.
Ooh.
That's a little bit harder to swallow compared to Schizo Tool's hospital debts, right? His one is you earn 2 fewer experience from the scenario, which is
No one cares.
can be terrible, but not really for the most part.
Yeah, if you're playing like one of these long campaigns, it so 2 things. If you're playing a long campaign, 2 experience in the long haul of it is not anything to worry about. Unless you're just
Unless you get this multiple times,
Yeah,
and now
yeah.
you're losing like 4 or 6, right?
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's not terrible. It doesn't really hurt you in the long run, right?
Yeah, and remember, we're saying that this is on the standard difficulty, right? Like,
Right,
So,
yeah.
so you should have no problems getting, stockpiling some experience up. Obviously, if you're only playing it as a single scenario, well, who cares,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? But then again, like,
Hospital debts is also not action intensive.
Yeah.
It's just resource intensive, right? It's for the most part, Skids usually has enough money if you build your deck that way. It doesn't really cost you anything. It's just actions, right?
Mhm.
So it's not as bad. Whereas this one is like, you're looking at minimum, probably 3 or 4 if you're counting it properly, right? Furthest away. So it can be pretty troubling, especially depending on like how certain maps getting to certain locations can be pretty hard. If you've played Essex yet, for this location
Oh God.
can be pretty terrible, right? So it can definitely be one of those where you might be taking mental trauma when you see this.
Yeah, I mean, so definitely the searching for Izzy is a worse off card, but I
Yeah.
guess that it has to balance out the
Yep.
investigator somehow. But
And she is one. She's got 1 extra brain compared to Skid. So even if this hits once, you're still back to even with Skids.
yeah, and I feel it's going to be very scenario dependent. There are some scenarios that this is easier to get than others, but there are some that it's damn near impossible or just improbable to go out of your way and jump through all the hoops of if things get locked up, if enemies get in your way to get this, and the consequences are a lot more severe. Again, if you're playing solo, carrying 1 mental trauma over does not mean anything, so hey, that's great.
And you got to remember though, this is you're looking at 2 actions to complete this, and then plus your move. So unless you've got Leo and you're gaining your extra action, this is probably taking you 2 turns to do minimum.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're probably moving twice, which means even if you're at the location, you can't do anything that turn because you don't have the extra action. So you're probably taking you 2 turns to get this done.
Mm. Yeah, so where? Anything else you guys want to say? Jenny to Skids, Skids to Jenny in general. I mean, I think she's a pretty good overall investigator to pick from. I assume that she's probably pretty popular amongst the groups out there. There's, more often than not, you'll probably find a Jenny Barnes in your game.
Yeah, I feel like her deck building gives you, like Jameson said, definitely more freedom in terms of building. I feel like Skids, he doesn't really generate resources on his own, so you tend to, my deck anyways was very, I kind of made sure there was a lot of resources, just to make sure he had enough money to spend on everything he wants to put down. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Jenny, because she generates her own resources, I feel like you can maybe not take as much of those, or not have to focus as much, and do more of the, as I said, like your shooting or stuff like that instead.
Yeah, exactly. A little more flexibility, right? You're not, maybe you don't have to insert the emergency caches.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Cool. So I guess in the grand scheme of things, where are you saying Jenny is? I think she's just a pretty good all-round investigator.
Yeah, I put her at good. I don't think she's great, but I think she's good.
I agree.
All right. So there you have it. That's where the character lies. Let's rock and roll this right now. Getting into the main meat and potatoes. Our first one is Liquid Courage. This is a 1-cost asset with a will skill check. This is 4 uses. Spend 1 supply. Choose an investigator at your location to heal 1 horror. Then that investigator tests Will of 2. If the test succeeds, he or she heals 1 additional horror. If it fails, he or she discards 1 card at random from his or her hand. Thoughts on the Liquid Courage?
Me personally, I like this card. I've seen it get used quite often, and there are definitely going to be a lot of times when people are suffering from horror and need a way to get rid of it very quickly. I like the fact that it's able to get rid of 2 with 1 charge, whereas if you're using like first aid or something like that, that would be 1 per action, and obviously we know that that's very action intensive. So I think that Liquid Courage is great because of how fast it is. It's also good because of how little it costs, being only 1, and it comes in with the 4 charges. And the fact that you're able to use it on somebody else as usual, so you're not just worried about yourself. So far, the rogue investigators are pretty good when it comes to the amount of brain that they have. So this is definitely something that you're going to use to be like not a full support, but a secondary support for your party. So I like that ability that it has to make sure that you're keeping everybody else alive while doing your thing as a rogue. And I don't really see it having many downsides because it doesn't take up any slots. It's on the table.
What about the negative test? Do you feel like that hurts?
Yeah. I mean, I can see where some people would, hate to fail that too and lose a random card, but to me in this game, losing 1 random card usually isn't going to make or break the scenario. Whereas in other games, like Netrunner and things like that, where you lose that 1 linchpin card to your deck and you're screwed and you're just like, oh man, my win condition's gone. I think it's a lot different in this game. Yes, it does always suck to lose a card in your hand at random, but I feel like this is one where you're able to recover a lot more easier. Or easily, a lot more easily, sorry.
I think that the only thing where that suffers is it seems the theme, I mean, if you haven't figured it out by now, this is not really a spoiler. The theme of this Dunwich Chronicle plays on trying to cycle your cards quick, right? Like some of the negative stuff is all, let's get through your deck, and then there's a penalty for that if possible. So I can see it maybe being a little tricky there, but it's only 1 card. It's got a really decent will test of 2. I mean, you should be able to
That's doable.
to pass off that.
Usually somebody can boost it if they're with you, or like you said, if you're going to lose a card in your hand anyways, if you've got some item that you can boost for your will, throw that in instead. That might be something to consider as well. So, it's not a complete guarantee, but at least you tilt it into a favor of losing the card you want to lose as opposed to losing a card you don't want to lose.
Yeah, and I mean, in the grand scheme of things, some of these heals, this is a downside to a healing card. This is probably one of the best I've seen. I would rather lose a card than lose health on myself. Remember like the tomes with
the
Daisy?
Medical textbook.
Yeah, right. So I mean, the other side of things too is that if you look at what are we calling it? It's not click compression, but I guess action compression. I mean, like you said, Shomar, a potential of 2 heals on 1 action. You can heal. You can choose an investigator, so it's open to anyone. You can pass the flask, but I wonder where this sits for deck slots for me, though. Like realistically, like I don't know. I'm not gung ho on heal, especially out of rogue. I mean, are you guys running two copies of this? Does it is this something that has longevity? Like it would still stay with you by like scenario 5, or have you replaced it?
In my group currently, what Matt and Tim do, and it's even mentioned on the ArkhamDB.com review, where Tim is playing Agnes and Matt has Liquid Courage in his deck, and so Agnes inherently takes horror all the time, and she uses that to deflect damage, and at times she's going to need help getting that horror off of her. So Matt and Tim tend to use this card where Matt pops Liquid Courage on Agnes to heal 1 horror, and then Tim will hope to fail that will too. If he doesn't fail it, great, because he gets rid of a horror. And if he does fail it, great, because he gets to throw 1 damage. So they use it that way, where there's really no negative to it, and it's something that we can carry throughout our campaign to be able to easily deal with whatever low health monsters pop up. So based on your party composition, it could be one that would stay with you throughout the whole campaign and really be no negative to it. As far as how many copies to play, if that is your primary objective in using it, then you probably don't really want to play 2 of them. I think you could you could get away with 1, but if you're playing with a very horror light group or trauma, mental, whatever, brains we kept calling it. Now I forget the actual name because we keep calling it brains. If you're playing with a group that's very light on brains, then maybe you would slot in a 2nd copy and get rid of something like first aid.
Right.
What is it called? What you guys just like replaced it in my memory.
I don't know, but it sounds so negative when you say if you're playing with a group that doesn't really have a lot of brains, then I guess you're just playing for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So who wants to draw the line in the sand here, and then we argue. I mean, I don't think it's below. I don't think it's in the negatives.
I think it's above average.
Above?
I would put it above average. I think it's good enough that it's above average.
Yeah, I was leaning towards an average. Like if there was something between average and above average, but I can slide it in there. Liquid Courage. It's worth it. It's worth a slot at the start.
Yeah.
Think on your feet. What do we got here? This is a 1-cost event with an investigate and a agility. It's fast, so that's always good. Play when an enemy would spawn at your location. Immediately move to a connecting location. The enemy still spawns at the previous location. I mean,
I don't.
Yeah, me personally, I don't have use for these kind of cards.
No, my rogue characters usually tend to have enough weapons and fight that they can take care of themselves.
Exactly.
Right? So moving away just kind of means somebody has to go back there to deal with it. And most enemies in this game, you tend to have to deal with them anyways. They get in the way. You can't just let them float around. So for me, this doesn't do anything. It takes up a deck slot, which I would rather have for more interesting action events.
I agree. I agree. I find that this might be more weighted on if you were playing solo, but like playing in a group, as soon as you bounce out, you've just basically told the other guy, "Hey, not my problem," and and then it's going to be someone else gets slapped with a tentacle.
Yeah, it's you're already there if you have the weapons. At least put some damage on it before you try to bail or something, as opposed to leaving and then having somebody waste an action coming back in afterwards. It's just. I mean, I'm sure it's got uses if you decide to play your character differently, right? And you don't play as the fighty rogue. But I'm not sure if that composition exists or works very well at the moment.
Yeah, like I said,
it's not useful.
I really think that they really want rogue to be this agility powerhouse and just always avoiding and bailing and not engaging. That's the impression that I get, and I just haven't seen a build like that yet. I haven't seen a build where even somebody wants to play a character that just runs away. So
yeah. I mean,
this is supposed to be for Netrunner players. Always be running.
Yeah. I mean, the only good thing that stands out to me, other than the fast ability, is it says when an enemy spawns. So I mean, it's not saying when a non-elite enemy spawns. It's not. There's no classification there. So I mean, if you really need to get away from that big bad guy, at least you can throw this down. But
if it exhausted an enemy, I think this card would be good.
I was going to say that exact same thing. If you could leave and they would exhaust it, then this would be a fantastic card.
Yeah.
But maybe they thought that'd be too powerful. I think what it would need to say, and I know this is off topic, but if it said play when a non-elite enemy would spawn at your location, immediately move to a connecting location and exhaust that enemy, then it would be fair because it's not a big guy; it's just a little wiener. And then this card would be really, really good.
Would you pay 2 for that? Like if the cost went up by 1?
I think that's fair that the cost should go up by 1, or it could just have some other negative, like test something,
right?
Maybe even just an agility test, whatever.
Yeah.
And then do that. So, I think they just left out a sentence or two that could have made this card one that would actually be useful.
So Vincent in the chat saying that it's not as good as elusive, which is the gold standard here. And elusive is the disengage from each enemy that you're engaged with and move to a revealed location with no enemies.
Yeah, and that costs 2.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yep. For 1 extra, you get multiple moves out of it. It's not one location. You can jump straight across the board, and deal with that terrible weakness that Jenny Barnes has. Yeah, right.
Because this one is, if there's still enemies at the connecting location, you're pretty much pooched then too, right? So.
Yep.
Yeah, he does say that it's decent in an Evady Survivor style build.
So out of red.
Yeah, like
red zone. Yeah, it is a 0.
Yeah,
it is a 0. So that does make sense.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on this, guys? I mean, to me, it's not horrible. It's not a card that I'm going to reach for, but I'd say it's kind of below average for me.
I agree with that. It's not bad.
No.
It's just not as useful right now. It doesn't have enough cases where I'd want to throw this in. So, but overall, I don't think it's a terrible card. It's just not very useful. Maybe it'll be more useful later, but right now it's not. So, I'm agreeing. Below average.
Double or nothing. Max 1 commit per skill test. Double the difficulty of the skill test. If the skill test is successful, resolve the effects of the success twice. It's got 1 wild on it.
I think it's a cool card. I don't know that I ever want to double the difficulty of any test. But the time when you actually manage to hit, and I guess that's why it's called double or nothing, but the times when you actually manage to hit, it's going to be fantastic. But how many situations are there where, I guess, other than fighting, are you going to want to use this card on?
You
or
use
maybe
this.
auto investigate.
You use this on 0 test investigations.
Yeah.
Right? You go in. There's there's an investigation of Shroud of 1. Pop out your flashlight, turn it on, double or nothing, walk out with 2 clues and leave.
Tentacles.
Tentacle pull.
No, I see what they're trying to do there, and it's an interesting card, and I think it's a trap. Your deck is so small already that to include something like this on the off chance that you're gonna, I don't know, smack a monster and do +2 instead of +1.
Yeah, I remember Push Your Luck in. I know it was compared to other card games, but in Netrunner, like if you can hit it, sure, it'd be good. But to put this in your deck, and once it's played. You know, like there's no. You know, there's real no getting it back. And what are you going to take up a slot or 2 slots for this thing?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I might keep one. So something to consider is, I don't think you'd ever use this on a test that's more than 2. Right?
Yeah, you wouldn't want to.
So a test of 3 going from 3 to 6 is pretty terrible, right? Going from 2 to 4 when you're gaining 1 wild icon means technically your test has only gone up by 1.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, it's actually not bad for the chance to get twice. Whatever your whatever your outcome is to double. I don't think that's terrible. It's just whether you can get all those things to line up or not, right?
Mm-hmm. And that, to me, it's just what am I taking out of my deck to put double or nothing in, even if it was 1 copy.
Agreed.
And I guess if you're playing Strange Solution, then that's like one thing that you could just immediately switch. But other than that, I can't pick out any one card where I'll just be like, oh, I'm definitely taking this out because double or nothing is coming in and it's going to put in work for me. I just don't really see that.
No,
yeah, I agree.
To gamble in action, to gamble in action away is too priceless for this.
And especially if you're tossing this on someone else's test too, and you just screwed them over now.
Oh.
So it's like, I don't know if I'd ever want to really use this card.
Yeah, agreed.
It's almost like that revenge card, right? Like when you're trying to like choreograph something, and you're like, okay, guys, so what I need you to do is you come here. We're gonna, we'll fight this guy, then we'll move over, get these clues, and someone's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do my own thing, and you're just like, oh yeah, and then next time you're just like, boom, double or nothing.
Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah. Leroy Jenkins. So,
yeah, I don't know. For me, this is not.
I guess the
really.
interesting question is how many skills are you guys running in your decks? Like my Schizo tool has 5, but 2 of them are vicious blows. So I wouldn't really count them.
I think I've got 5 as well.
Oh yeah, are they actually all like full out just boost skills, or do they do anything else?
No, it's like shoot, why can't I remember the name? The dexterity one. Can't remember right now.
Yeah.
Is it called manual dexterity?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Manual dexterity. I think I've got 2 copies of that.
Okay.
Overpower.
Right. So they're all pretty much like the boost ones,
basic,
right?
yeah.
They're all just straight icon boosts.
I run
right?
skills heavy Ashcan, so.
Right. So would you consider swapping one of the skills for one of these?
No.
Like no.
No.
Straight up no. He's gonna think about it.
No. To me, like I said, there's nothing more precious than an action, man. I only got 3 per turn, and doubling the difficulty of a skill test is just.
But the potential is to gain 4 actions technically.
Phooey. I can't. I'm gonna take the sure thing, man.
Take
Oh wait, I
sure
lied. I
thing.
play 8 skills. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
8.
You pay 8 skills?
Yeah. Unexpected courage, 1 perception, 2 overpower, 2 manual dexterity, and a survival instinct, which I'm taking
Wow.
out.
The
Wow.
Vincent in chat also says he's like, if you're gonna play Double or Nothing, you got to put 2 copies in. you got to go hard.
You got to double or nothing,
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Two copies
should
or
be
nothing.
mandatory. To me, this is a bad card.
Bad, eh?
Yeah, not terrible, but this is bad.
You know what? You know what? Just because Think on Your Feet is where it is, I'll have to agree. I don't think it's on the level of Think on Your Feet, so I'll throw it under bad.
Fair. I'll go with that.
I thought you were saying like fair, like as a new category. You're like, it's fair. Or I had a feeling you wanted to drop it into terrible.
Nah, I mean, one day I'll put it in for jokes, and then it has a good positive, so I won't say that it's terrible.
All right, hired muscle we skip because that's an upgrade, and we go into the Miskatonic, which his first card is Contraband. Anybody want to break that one down?
Miskatonic.
Oh, it's a pretty pricey event for cost.
Mhm.
You choose an asset controlled by an investigator at your location. Double the number of ammo or supply tokens on that asset. It's pretty pricey for, I think the most expensive asset is, pretty much like shotgun or something like that, which is about 4 or 5. So, to get the most out of this, that asset has to pretty much not been used, right? And then you got to get to that same location and then pay 4. So it's kind of, I guess, almost like another weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, for Jenny's twin 45s, it can be, pretty awesome. I guess you can stack. I mean, I guess you pretty much have to spend over 4 for it to make sense. It's another way to boost it back up because there's only one copy of her twin 45. So once it's out, it's pretty hard to get back unless you reload. So it might be useful, but I'm not a big fan of it overall. I'd rather just pay for the reload.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either. To me, that's a lot. Like you look at something like let's say the twin 45s in faction, for example, paying that much money to drop some stuff on it, then the 4 to double the amount of ammo on it, and then the risk of having to discard an asset or something in play, and then it's gone. This seems like I feel like twin 45s can pretty much pay for themselves. You put the ammo down. It may be good if you're helping a Roland and you have like Roland's gun who has like limited charges on it. So if you're not wanting to carry extra ammo or something around, but again, I still feel that this is a lot of rigmarole for a card, and I just don't feel it's needed for the reward that you're getting back from it.
Yeah, I don't think that we're at a stage in the game yet where this is something that's very necessary. I mean, eventually I'm sure they're going to have a marathon scenario that takes a long time to get through, and there's going to be a lot of fighting and whatever have you. But until that time comes, you're better off just playing the extra ammunition. Yep. You're never going to really use this card to, double the amount of supply tokens on first aid or double the amount of supply, refill up the canteen with more gin or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and especially at that price, if it was maybe, even if it costed 3, that would still be kind of high at this point. But just the fact that it only doubles whatever is already on it makes this very, very hard to use properly. Yeah. Like the window is very, very slim.
Yeah, right. Extra, 2 extra ammunitions will fill you back 6, right?
Whereas this
will fill you back, 6, but that's assuming that there's 6 ammo on an item, which there's nothing in the game that has this right now. So even if you pull out, your, like you said, Jenny would have to pay 6 to get this down, not use any ammo, and then play this afterwards. It doesn't seem likely. Most things are usually at 4 ammo. So the most you're probably going to get is probably 3 back, right? Because you're probably using it before you get there. right? So I definitely don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, and keep in mind too that it says ammo or supply tokens, right? So some stuff that even has multiple token things on it are not supply. Some are charges, some are, I forget what the other wording is, but
yeah, all the spells are charges, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty much you're pretty much liquid courage. I think
Flashlight.
yeah, flashlight. First aid, that kind of thing, right? And usually for that stuff, you're rather off just go find your other copy and put it in.
It's a lot of overhead. So what do you guys think for this one here?
For me, I'm you know what, I'm between bad and terrible. I'm gonna throw it under terrible.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, that's harsh.
Yeah.
I just can't see it being used. It's, I don't know. It just, the cost is way too high as well.
For me, it's just a straight up bad.
Yeah, you know what? Until something comes out that's crazy, like I don't know what the
Typewriter or something.
Chicago typewriter, yeah.
right, or like some lightning guns or whatever they are, or something ridiculous that maybe it's so powerful and it has very limited charges, or not charges, I want to use the correct terms, ammos or supply tokens.
Right.
I just don't see a use for this card. And for the sake of, pulling a Hollis Echo, I'll back John and throw it in terrible.
Yeah.
We need a sound clip, just like a horn or something for every terrible card.
We can make that happen. But I always like the Price is Right. The boom, 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 All right.
Yeah. So Chicago Typewriter is actually only 4 ammo.
So
it's still not worth it.
Yeah.
But how much does it cost to play?
It costs 5.
Yeah, so you just save up 9 and bam, bam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For 1 extra, you just play another typewriter. Right?
Guys, Essex had one card called I'm Outta Here. This is an interesting card. And I'll be honest with you, it's the card that I wish my rogue player, I wish they would play, because he always has to stay in there too long. But I'm Outta Here is 2 evades, very thematic. It's 0 cost. Play only if there is a scenario card with a resign ability in play, and you pretty much just resign right away.
Going back to our interview with the designers, I mean, they probably love this card, that speedrun idea. How quickly can we end this? Well, there's an event that lets you just spend 0 and be done with it all.
Resign.
I don't know. I'm the type of person where resigning is like my very, very last thought, and I don't need a card that tells me to resign. If I'm going to resign, I'm fighting my way back to the door, and I'm doing it that way. I'm not dedicating a card in my deck, even though it costs 0. I'm still not dedicating a card in my deck to get me out of there. I like the 2 agility icons on it, but I still don't know that I would actually play this card. Like, for me, this is a card that you play if you played through a scenario numerous times and you know for a fact that it's ridiculous and that you need to use a resign ability. You're never going to put this in on a scenario when it's your first time playing through it, would you? Because I wouldn't. I'm just curious if you guys would.
No, I don't think so. No, I think that your resign ability is kind of like, I don't really want to do that. I think the big thing with this is that the resign ability has to be in play. That's what's kind of crappy to me. If it was, you know what, you can resign and not have the resign ability in play, I think it'd be kind of more useful.
Exactly.
Right? There's scenarios where, you just, okay, you know what, I'm almost dead. I don't want to take this trauma. I don't want to take this whatever it is, mental or physical. I want to get out of here. Oh crap! There's no way to get out. I'm kind of screwed. That'd be useful. Usually, if there's a resign ability, the scenarios I see where there's a resign ability, I can usually get there if I need to.
Mhm.
Right? If I really need to bail, I can get there and get out. Or I usually know like a turn before that this is probably not going well, and I can plan ahead to get out. It's usually never the case where I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to win this. Oh, I drew, 2 tentacles and I failed.
Yeah.
Time to bail. Goodbye. Right? That usually doesn't happen. So I don't think this has any use in it. Now, if the icons, however, were 2 wilds, it might be interesting. It might be something to consider. Just because, like I said, for me, I thematically understand the agility icons, but I don't use them in my, in my deck or in my skids, or my what do you call them? My rogue deck. So I don't feel like they're as useful. If there were wild icons, however, that would be something I would consider.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To me, and I'll throw it out there. To me, this is just an average card. I mean, I can see the use for it in some scenarios. Maybe if you're playing solo and you're really trying to go off, I can see it. I can see it if you're stretching out for experience or trying to really trying to make that end scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think 2 might be too much, but I could see its purpose, right?
But the way I think of it is, there's 2 reasons why people usually resign. One is, you're racking up doom very quickly, and you know that something bad's going to happen, so you want to get out of there before you have any widespread effects that's going to be a detriment to your group. 2, you're stuck in a room and you're getting slapped on by a monster and you're going to die. For the first reason, like John said, everyone has the timer in their head saying, I've got X amount of doom left. These cards could pop off the encounter deck and flip it and, progress this very quickly. So I should start heading to the door now. In scenario 2, where you're just getting beat on by a monster, to play this card, it's not fast. So when you play it engage with the monster's going to take an attack of opportunity and still slap you, and you could die before you could even die. So it's like, there's no purpose in playing this. Just plan ahead, don't make silly decisions, and get the hell out of there.
It's that easy,
Don't dedicate
right?
a card slot to this.
Okay, listen, everyone.
To giving up.
Just make smart decisions. Always pass your skill checks. and you will be fine.
All I'm saying is, most times when people want to resign, it's like, if I take 1 more hit, guys, I'm gonna die, or 2 more hits, whatever. And still, to play this, you could end up dying.
Yeah.
So
what are you gonna say? What are you saying? It's not average?
I'm saying that
this card could be average.
This is below average.
John?
Almost bad.
You got.
I got.
You got the marker.
You know what?
Stick.
I'm balancing between bad and terrible again.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Hollis in chat, so proud of you.
You know what? I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go terrible.
Whoa!
I think just if I'm considering
is that 3 or 2?
No, that's two.
Two.
That's 2.
Okay.
I'm considering what my criteria for where Contraband is. I'm gonna throw this in the same thing. I can't see, because for me the resign campaign, the resign parts are always just as bad. Like if everybody dies or you resign, that resign part is still going bad. So the only way you're playing this is so you don't, probably most likely don't take the trauma, or the mental trauma or the physical trauma, right? And in that case, like I said, like Shomar said, just think smartly, plan ahead, and leave early.
So Shomar, what are you saying?
I said it was treading on the line of below average and bad, and I think it's more bad than it is below average, and this is all just my personal opinion on how I feel about quitters and resigners.
Quitter.
So
Take the trauma.
so I'm gonna say bad.
All right. Well, I said it was average. So I mean, I think mine and John's might cancel out, and we sit it under the bottom of bad.
All right, fair enough.
Ooh, that's harsh.
Man, that's like 2 terribles in a row.
Yeah.
It's a pretty bad card.
All right.
Has that ever happened in like a Netrunner episode? Have you ever had 2 Netrunner cards in a row that were just like completely terrible?
No, if Hollis had his way, yes, but we talk sense into him. We're on the Lone Wolf. What do we got here, boys? A 1 cost asset with another, like I say, agility. Limit 1 per investigator. When your turn begins, if there are no other investigators at your location, gain 1 resource. Where did clues come from? All right. Thoughts on this one?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Nope.
When I play rogue, I like to be by myself. I tend to be just running around, doing things on my own, and if I need help, then I tell guys, hey, come help me out for a second. So, and with all those cards that we've looked at previously, that let you skip out and go all over the board, I think that this is great.
You're not.
I don't know.
You don't run with the pack, Lone Wolf.
I don't run with the pack. I guess depending on the scenario. Most scenarios, I will go off on my own at first and kind of start flipping locations and doing that thing and opening up paths for everybody else. Because of the fact that rogues can move very quickly, and they can also, because of Luca, Tony, what's that? The lion. They have the extra action, so you're able to go very quickly and get from point A to point B, open up things, let your opponent see the board. So you do end turns by yourself pretty often, I think. And we've seen now numerous reasons why the rogue class would need money. And so to be rewarded for, going off on your own and doing those things with a card like Lone Wolf is fantastic. And I think this is also a card that doesn't really punish you too much if you don't see it early game. If you play this out mid-game, mid-scenario, even if you play it out later on in the scenario, depending on the scenario type, then you're still seeing that benefit because it only takes 2 turns to get back into the black. So I like this one myself.
Yeah, to me it's not bad. Like the only thing that knocks it down a bit is when your turn begins. You have to kind of be there. I wish it was, and maybe it'd be too overpowered, that if it was when your turn ends. Because then you could be that first guy to knock the door down and your turn ends and then the second guy comes in the door. But you kind of got to be, either left behind or totally on your own, which is not impossible for Rogue. I mean, they can hold their own.
Yeah.
So,
I think though
I'm not as high on it as you, Shomar.
I'm going to agree with Jameson. I think that it definitely limits, if you want this to trigger, like you can get away, right? But it also limits if you're not going first, or even, it doesn't really matter actually. It limits where the rest of your team can go. Right?
But it doesn't. It doesn't, because you're not going to play it and be like, guys, everybody screw off. Don't freaking end your turn here. You're just going to play it. If you end up by yourself, you end up by yourself. Otherwise, you don't get the money. Who cares? You're not going to be mad and, guys, just stay away. Go. No, I need this. I need this $1. This is huge.
Maybe you do. I don't know. I guess it's one of those things. It's like, do I play this out? Do I take a card slot in the deck and then play it out And then I guess if it happens, that great. Or do I just play an emergency cash and get the money when I need it? Right?
Yeah,
It's
but
like, emergency cash costs me nothing, and I gain 3. So,
But emergency
this
cash
one
has
I
a
need
ceiling.
I need 4 turns of me sitting by myself to make back. So, play emergency cash.
But this has no ceiling. Emergency cash has a ceiling. This can go all game. You could pop this off every turn if you played it right. Emergency cash, you play it once, it's gone. And I think
this triggers all the time if you're maybe playing by yourself or 2 people.
3
If you're
people
playing with a group of 4, I don't think this triggers as much as you think. And
with 4,
I
no.
feel,
With 3, it's I still think it's
okay,
pretty
fair
efficient.
enough. 3 enough is a little bit better. But if you're playing with a full group of 4, I don't think you would trigger this enough, and you might as well just play emergency cash.
I think you play this until you get a hot streak, and then who cares about cashes or this card?
So to me, I think this is an average card because I think it's very deck dependent. I don't think Jenny needs this because she's already gaining 2 at the end in her upkeep. So I feel you're already getting that bonus. I mean, it's nice probably in a Skids deck where resources are a little shorter, or maybe to pull it out of faction. I mean, so I might be able to be talked to go to above average, but to gain...
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm not even going to say it's above average. I'm saying it's an average card, but it's a good one. I like it.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Like, it is very limited, like I said, but
Yeah.
you're not going to be mad at your teammates for coming into your location. If they don't, it's a bonus. It only costs you 1 to play it anyways.
Yeah,
and if it pops off 2 or 3 times in the game only, then you're still come out on top. And you can still play emergency caches as well.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to throwing it in average. That's where I thought it should be.
Are you running 2 of this or 1 of this in your deck?
I'd only run 1.
I'm running none of. No,
And it's limit 1 per investigator, so you run 2. Like I said, you don't care to see it right away. If it's not in your opening hand, who cares?
Yeah.
When it comes, play it.
last turn of the game, he drew it, plays it,
Play it. That's right.
resign.
Play it and resign. That's right.
I would throw it below average, but if you guys are both going with average, yeah, it's fine. Falls under average.
Cool. So there's the curve, pretty flat.
Yep.
So far. Let's go back now and look at the upgrades.
So we're looking at hired muscle. Right?
Yep.
That's the first one.
Certainly
Yep.
is.
Hired muscle is a 1-cost asset. You get +1 fight. Forced at the end of the upkeep phase, you must either pay 1 resource or discard hired muscle.
I mean, to me, the only good thing about this is three extra health.
Yeah.
As
It's a 3-1.
Yeah, as an ally.
But like, see, my issue with all these new fancy allies that they're coming out with is that they made the core set one so good. It's so difficult not to play Leo in every green deck just because, unless it is that, somebody in your party is splashing Leo into theirs, and then you can have...
You can't use them, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, if once it's on the table, you know that not everybody can have him, and then you branch out to these other ones. But even still, I just find it so difficult to choose or even think to choose a lot of these new allies that we're seeing just because of how good the Corso one is. Like, giving up that 1 additional action from Leo for $6, or when you have the upgrade Leo that only costs 5, you can play him turn 1 and then you're good to go. Like, it's so hard to pass that up to play this hired muscle that's going to give you +1 fight. Like, if you're really banking on that +1 fight, just go play that training or whatever the heck it was called. And
Physical training, yeah.
Yeah, and just pay the money for it if you really want it that badly.
Yeah, because then at least you can pay it when you need it, and you can stack it, right? You can just
because
pay more
you're
if you
paying
need
money to keep this out anyways.
Yeah.
So you might as well spend that same buck on something that's going to be on the board the entire game, and whenever you need it basis versus I'm forced to pay this crap.
Yep, I agree.
So what are you guys saying here?
Yeah, this one's not getting any love from me. So I'll let John go first.
I'm going to say bad.
Ooh.
Being harsh today. Throwing down the hammer.
Is everything okay, John?
Yeah, I'm okay. Okay.
This is your faction too, man.
I know.
I don't know. Is it like? To me, it's very
It's hilarious. I just looked at my deck list and I have like
3 copies of this.
No, I have all blue. It's like literally, it's like Hot Streak, Sure Gamble, Leo DeLuca, and the rest of it is blue. Apparently, my faction is rogue, but none of the cards are. It's just the character.
False rogue.
I mean, I think it's a steep price, like a resource at the end of your upkeep here for the extra combat, considering there's other ways to get combat.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, you're just pretty much paying for the hits. If you're gonna drop this down and go guns blazing, knock some doors down, and you know you're gonna take 3 hits right away, then yeah, it's worth the 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not leaving this on the. I'm not putting this down opening turn. I'm putting this when the battle's going.
Yep.
So I mean,
right.
To be,
I don't know, like you said, physical training costs you 1 extra.
Yeah.
Right. And then you can, trigger it when you need it.
Yeah. I guess the ally thing is hurting right now. I don't know.
Yep.
Shomar, what are you thinking? What'd you say? Below average?
This one's getting bad for me.
Bad, John. You were bad.
I was bad.
Okay.
Sure.
I got outvoted. Put me.
Oh, was yours below average?
Yeah. Keep me on the record, though.
All right. You got that down.
All right. What do we got next?
The next card is... It is adaptable. So adaptable is an asset. It's permanent. In between each game of a campaign, you may swap up to 2 level 0 cards out of your deck in exchange for an equal number of level 0 cards. You must still follow all deck building rules for your investigator.
I like it, but I'd never play this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you really want to use a deck slot for a card that is going to have nothing to do during the campaign?
But it's still XP efficient. Because now you're not paying 1 for those zeros, right?
Yeah, but is that worth
But remember, you paid 1 for this already, right?
Yeah, you paid 1 for this, but then going forward...
So the first time you use it, you're actually only saving 1.
Hey, that's still saving.
Yes. I guess the question ends up being is, how often are you swapping out 0 cost stuff out of your deck, right? Unless you know what's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Like spoilers from Essex. Take a certain type of cards instead because you're more likely to get this check as opposed to this one. I don't know if you're like me and you like playing it without knowing what's coming up and you're going to try to do this the way it is. I don't know if this is very useful. If you're playing stuff again and you know what's coming,
mm-hmm.
then yeah, for sure. Hey, I know the next deck is I don't do any fights and it's all will checks. All right, let's swap out 2 of those, fights for 2 of those will boosters.
Mm-hmm.
But in the way I play, I don't see this being useful.
But isn't it nice to have, the option, especially like right now, the game's very new. So we're playing and packs aren't out yet. So say you're playing pack 1 of the next cycle, you don't know what level 0 cards are going to come out in the future. And you might want to slot some of those in while playing without having to pay the XP for them. So in that sense, I think that this is a decent card as well. And I know that's a very limited example, a very limited scope for a card like this, but just thinking in terms of we're always waiting on new content currently, and that's probably how it's going to be because we jumped in on the game very early. So for us as players, playing green, I think that this is a useful card because it gives you that ability to experiment. for free.
To me, I think it's average, and mostly just because I can see how what John is saying, because I mean that's the way that we're playing right now in our first playthrough is I'm not looking really at when someone comes up with spoilers or things. So when we open the pack and set it up, I'm looking at the cards I have available, and I can't say that I've swapped out a lot of cards over this campaign that are level
especially zero cost cards, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I wanted to be more flexible, yeah, sure, maybe on my second playthrough, I may put one of these in, because let's be honest, you only need one because it's a permanent, so it starts in play and gives it that effect. And then I can be more fluid of my, changing things out. But I mean, also looking at how cards come out, I'm only getting 2 character cards per pack. So, on average, and one is usually an upgrade and one is maybe a level 0. So I'm never really swapping out 2 level 0 cards.
Yeah, but it's 2 level 0 cards. Doesn't have to be in your own faction.
I know that, but I'm just saying I'm usually not swapping them out. I'm usually burning 6 XP for 2-3 cost.
The cool things.
But who's to say that's the best way of doing it?
Oh, no one. Just
No,
just
I do
me.
the same thing.
Just me.
I don't buy level 0 cards for shit, but that one time that I might want to.
Yeah.
Have adaptable would be great. And I mean, just getting one card, it's only one card in your deck adaptable, and through the course of a campaign, your deck beefs up to like 30 something cards, 34 or 5 cards if you're taking all those extra stuff that you gain. So I don't think that it would be too much of a detriment to play adaptable. And I just like the permanent keywords so far, the things that they're trying to do with it. And the other permanent cards haven't really been, in my opinion, the most useful. At least this is one that you have the option to use it, and it's not going to really cost you anything to do so. So I like that they give you a chance to actually make use of the new permanent keyword.
So where are you saying?
I'm still not saying it's a good card, though. This card is still below average.
I feel like you lead me down this path where you're defending it so hard, and I'm like, you're making me second guess. I'm like, man, I said it was average, but then you're like, this is still shit. But I was just telling you all these awesome reasons why I would love this card.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's not as bad as other things that we've seen. It has a lot of useful applications.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's a fantastic card and everyone must play it. So
okay. Tricky.
I still think that it's below average, and underwhelming in some senses. But
John,
when used correctly,
I'm gonna go.
He's gonna say terrible. Oh God.
No. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. I'm gonna go bad. It's I think think on your feet. I'll use it. This one I won't.
So if you said bad, I said average. I mean, Shomar said below average. So I think our average consensus is below average here.
Okay. Fair.
What do we got next here? That was that Essex?
Yeah, we got Switchblade.
Okay.
Switchblade.
We are.
Or an Essex now. Switchblade, yeah.
Yep. Switchblade is a two cost expansion. It's fast. Cost you 1. Sorry, it was 2 experience cost. Combat and agility. This is a fight. You get +2 attack for the Switchblade. If you succeed by 2 or more, this attack deals +1 damage, one hand. Pop, pop, shiv, shiv.
I like the price.
Yeah. I like that it's fast. You can hold on to it. You don't need to play it until you kind of need it. Most other weapons you take the turn to set up because you don't want to deal with a monster and have to like throw down the weapons and then take the damage. So the fact this is fast, you can just kind of I mean, it is still it's cheap, so it doesn't hurt you whether you put it down anyways. But if you're somehow short on cash or something, or you're not really sure what you want to do, this gives you options till you actually need it, right?
How about the winning by 2 though? And I mean, for $1, you really can't expect anything more than that.
No.
Right.
But is this still something that you would play 2 copies of?
It depends.
No.
I would think about it if I was playing in a Wendy. I would think about it. I would think about it at least.
Can Wendy play? Oh yeah, because it's not a 3; it's a 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 2, right? Yeah.
Right, and so and because it's a weapon and an item, I can use the scavenging to get it back. I mean, the agility and the combat there.
Right.
It's one-handed, so I could see its uses. I mean, plus 2 attack is nice.
Right.
You get that no matter what. If you succeed by 2 or more, then you get the additional damage. So, I mean, obviously, I like it better than knife, I think.
Yeah. I mean, both right now, both the rogues are at, what, 3 fight?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going in, at 5, which is actually not terrible, right? No, it's not. Going in at 5 is there's a, if you boost, there's a decent chance you can get the +1 damage. So for the 1 cost, it might be a good early start kind of thing. Just throwing an extra weapon, so you're not completely defenseless. Like I said, you can just keep it in your hand until you need it, right?
Yeah, like I tell you, like I like it the best. I think I like it the best in Wendy. In faction, I just think that there's better options. I'd rather have the guns.
Right.
I wouldn't move this anywhere else. I mean, Jenny's got it. If you get her special, it's already 2-handed. So, I mean, what can you do with it?
I think this is better outside of rogue.
Yeah.
Right. In a rogue where you've got the money normally for all your your heavier weapons, your guns, your machete. I don't know if this is a cost efficient weapon, and I'm not sure it's necessary. You don't need to keep it. If you're, like you said, you're looking at Wendy or some other classes where you're not making as much money, I could see this being pretty useful.
Yeah. So what are you guys thinking? I don't know. For some reason, above average sticks out in my head. I like it, but that's just because I like it out of faction more than I like it in faction. So I could be talked down, but I don't think I could go. I don't think I could go any higher than that.
I mean, okay, so it's 2 XP, right? So, outside of a faction, was it none of the new characters can use it, right? So we are looking at Wendy being the only one that can use it, I think, right? Yep. Right. Yeah. I do believe that is the case. Yeah. So you're looking, outside of faction, it's, 1 character. I put it as average.
I just want to point out that if you're playing rogue and you have adaptable in your deck, you're able to grab, especially for Jenny, who's playing the 2-handed guns, and you have adaptable in your deck, you're able to get Bandolier for free, which would allow you to play also this upgraded Switchblade and be a friggin' G. So I just want to point that out. Adaptable.
Hold on.
There's a use for it right there.
Noting it, yeah.
But as far as the upgraded Switchblade goes, I think it's above average. I mean, it's not machete, obviously, but I think that it's able to do as much work as machete is able to. You don't have to worry about the engagement thing. Like John said, it's fast. It only costs 1. You're not worried about playing it out early because you don't want to deal with attacks of opportunity. John also made the point of, you're going to be at base 5 attacking, and then when you consider all the other things you have on the board, pitching cards, etc., you should be able to get that +2 often enough And so I think that it becomes a pretty reliable weapon. It's not like a kukri or something, or the strap, whatever it was from the last episode. So this one I think is above average. It is very useful. It's very cheap, and the limitations on it aren't impossible to overcome.
Cool. So we'll sit it at above average by the law of
voting.
Voting.
Love it.
And your wacko combo is noted. Yeah. But
Adaptable bandolier.
disputed though for sure.
Okay, so the question is, are you ever going to swap out bandolier afterwards? Like, is the plan just to put bandolier in and then swap stuff out afterwards? Because bandolier and adaptability are the same XP cost. So unless you're gonna find something else to swap out afterwards, you might as well just pay for the bandolier.
Don't ask questions like that, man.
You killed his dream. You killed the dream.
Double breaker.
Okay, this one here might be an interesting one for Shomar. We're going into Streetwise. This is 3 XP upgrade. This is a permanent. He does love his permanents, but will he love Streetwise? This has a lightning effect of spending 2 resources, getting +3 investigate. Lightning, spend 2 resources, +3 agility.
The 2 resources throws me off right away.
I like it. I think
I don't know,
I think this
I'm
is the best permanent of all the permanents that have came out. Like this, of all these start in play, 2 for 3, man.
3 intellect, yes, that's fantastic. I just don't like ever paying 2. I mean, it's gonna see a lot of use. It's very useful, but $2, man, when you only get 1 in upkeep, it's insane. And why does she have a knife in her hand if it doesn't give me any fight?
Because she's streetwise.
So give me some fight.
No,
I don't want to.
she's got the intellect to carry that knife through that alley.
I don't know. It's decent. It's decent. But $2.
John,
This is one of those things where it's like, in Netrunner we go through all the ice and we calculate what's the base strength and whether it's cheaper, more efficient to pay the 2 for 3 or pay 1 each. This is something like that, except we don't know there's way more infinite possibilities and we don't know what else is out there. For Rogue, I feel like 2 resources for 3 is pretty good. Especially for the investigate. It's
yes.
clues.
Tell me more.
Clues
Tell
is
me
kind
more.
of the goal of the game, right? We need clues, so you're always gonna have to investigate. And getting 3 for 2 is really good, and I think it's worth it. Do I care about the evade? No. I'd be much happier if that was a fight or a will. But it's not. So I like it. I know it's kind of pricey XP wise, right? But you only need 1, so it's not. That's pretty good. It's a permanent, and 2 resources. I feel like you'll come across it. You'll be fine. There'll be money if you need it.
That's what I'm talking about. That's my boy, back in that Streetwise.
I guess as a permanent, it's always in play, so you will see use.
Yeah.
Because it's always there. You have to find it. And, I just $2, man.
For 3.
2 for 3, yeah. I guess double or nothing now on the investigate. Yeah, I don't know. To me it's still average until I see it get used and how easy it is to float that too. I mean, I guess you're playing Jenny too. She's gonna have money, but
yeah,
I mean, out of other investigators,
you can't play. I don't think you can play this out of anything else right now. I mean, is there any way to pull Rogue 3 XP cards out of
or level 0 to 3? So you could still get this in other.
Yeah, you can use it in other core characters.
Core? Because core is 0 to 2.
Is it 2? I thought it was 3.
Yeah. No, that's why Wendy was okay with the other one.
Yeah, it's 2. Yeah, so you're looking at.
You're thinking neutrals are 0 to 3 on those cores.
Yeah, neutrals are 0 to 5. Yeah, so you're looking at skids, which both have money, right? I mean, sometimes you think about it, it's like you spend 2 for an extra click. Sometimes I'd rather just make sure the test is successful than taking an extra action.
Yeah.
I think this. I'm gonna go out on the record here and say this is an auto include in any rogue deck right now.
You heard it here first, guys.
Damn right you did.
When you put in your deck and it fails you, you know who to come back to.
No.
I think out of all the permanents, this is the best one. This is welcome to Value Town.
Ah, man.
You know how hard it is for them to investigate?
I mean, oh god. How are they investigating that often though? I'm trying to look up all the other permanents. Because there's got to be one that's better than this.
No, all of them you've hated so far.
I know, but there's got to be one better than this.
There's not. Because
Oh,
the survivor one is blah. The mystic is blah, and you've already said the other two I think are shit.
Oh man. I guess you're right.
Below,
Yeah.
you went below average I think on all the others.
Yeah, you're right. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. So Streetwise is what? What would you say again?
I think it's good.
Oh God. And John, what'd John say?
I haven't said anything yet.
Yeah, he's holding out.
Yeah. I got
He wants to talk it down.
I'm gonna go good.
Whoa!
Good.
Yeah.
Rolls the dice.
+3. I'd still say average. Above average. Average. Above average.
I'll get Shamar. If you go above average, I'll go above average. I'll give you the above average. That's fair enough.
Guys.
It's +3. It's above. I'm gonna in my next campaign. I'm gonna play it just so I can, actually see if this is any good or not. So I'm not gonna harp on it without at least giving it a try.
It's above average. Above average.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Above average.
You guys knocked it down.
above average.
If this was 2 XP though, it'd be good for sure.
All right, so I think that closes it. Closes the book on it, right?
Yeah, I do believe so.
Until Undimensioned and Unseen is this week, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
What's
does.
in there?
It looks like Rogue is getting the short end of the stick for upgrades, which is fair to say. I mean, so basically, save all your XP for, well, 1 copy of Streetwise, slot it in,
Yep.
and you'll be sailing. That's all you got to do is Rogue. You guys have anything else going on? Anything to
Nope.
say so far about the set so far?
I think it's in a good place, man. I like where they're going with it. As always, you'd expect that one class doesn't see cards that are as good as the others, so I'm not too upset about what's going on with the Rogues right now. I'm sure they'll bounce back in set 2, but overall, I think it's in a good place.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, but Rogue did get some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I don't.
Out of the core, they got some pretty good upgrades straight out of the core, anyways. So it's kind of balancing back. I don't think they're out of it. Hot Streak is just like that's really good off the bat.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's 4 XP. It's stupidly expensive, right? But just going from 3 resources to 7 in 1 click is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they needed much help. So I think our curve, how we've set it here right now on their upgrades, especially, I think is pretty fair and how it should be for a fair design. There's no way they should have anything great coming through yet when they still have the Lion himself.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just looking at my Skids deck right now, and like I said, it's mostly blue.
Mm.
And I'm curious if I did switch to Jenny Barnes, what those blues would get switched out for. Because I'm looking at it, and they're all like XP2 stuff. It's like, there's like the extra ammunition. There's like, stuff like that. Beat cop, that kind of thing. So it'd be kind of interesting to see whether some of those other stuff would get switched out or not. The automatics are there, still the machetes, emergency age, but there's a few extra things that I might consider swapping out. So, there's two, I'm running, two of the upgraded beat cops and two of the extra ammunitions. So I'd be kind of curious to see what happens with those and what those would get switched to. Right? Because I think we looked at it and it's like, the stuff out of Rogue was, in terms of assets, besides Liquid's Courage, everything was kind of meh, right? And so losing those kind of damage-dealing stuff, I don't know if there's a good replacement for that right now in Rogue. So, Jenny Barnes generates more resources, but she may not hit as hard as Skids. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Fully on point. Jenny is deadly, and her support is mostly coming from core. That's all we have, guys. Next week, like I said, we have a new pack to add some cards into the already talked about investigators. So, we might move around, tweak them a little. But we will dive into that, and we will be into Mystic. So thank you, everyone, for joining, and we'll catch you next Tuesday. Later, y'all.
Later.